So tomorrow is Doctor Day to say, I don't want to do this anymore. And she's basically deciding it out of a multitude of different reasons, but like the biggest one is financial.
Fuck this country.
Right? Like all this Luigi shit is hitting at such a fucking weird time. Like personally. So anyway, how are you doing, man?
Drawing things.
If you would have told your like 11-year-old self that you would be drawing things as an adult, how do you think little John would have taken that?
I thought it would have been dinosaurs for sure. Definitely would have been drawing dinosaurs and monsters.
In monsters?
Oh yeah, I love drawing monsters.
Really? What about it? What was the draw of, like, no pun intended, but what was like what drew you to drawing monsters and dinosaurs?
I think like was it like Lee Tippett, like all like the claymation stuff. I always thought that stuff was so cool, like Sinbad and Star Wars and all the claymation stuff.
Yeah,
I thought that was so cool, and I was always going to like the library, and I would get I'd get all the dinosaur books, and I'd read all those, and then they had like the how to draw books.
Yeah,
and I'd always get like drawing monsters.
It was always the monsters one.
Yeah,
interesting.
Yeah,
like because I noticed like when we would make stuff together, you and me, like even when you would do like when we tried to play Star Wars Galaxies together, the characters you would create are more monster based, like the more bigger characters. Like in fighter games, you always chose the big characters. I always chose like the little fast characters. But you always chose like the big hairy guys. You always like kind of sided with Sasquatch and sided with the monsters. I wonder if that's
those are
like,
my people.
Well, so that's what I'm kind of wondering. Like, do you find like an affinity with the outcast, like with the monster?
Yeah, I do. Like I Beast. I always liked Beast. I like from that
X-Men?
that was my favorite X-Men character.
Was it really?
Yeah.
No shit.
Beast was my favorite. I liked yeah, always like the biggest character. Blanca was the very first character I beat Street Fighter with.
I was gonna say every time we played Street Fighter. Yeah, that was yours.
I always just liked the big monster. Yeah, I mean, my family's always, I don't know, we've always just been like kind of bigger, hairy, fat dudes, and yeah, I guess I always just kind of felt like the monster, and yeah.
Do you think it's like a visual representation of what you grew up with, like that, like how you just mentioned, like your family's always been bigger? Or do you think it's more of like the Frankenstein mentality, where it's like, here's something that is shunned by society, but you know, deep down, if you get to know them, there's way more depth there?
No, I mean, I don't think that there was like a lot of depth there. It's just I thought I don't know, maybe I did, I don't know, but it was more.
Well, I mean, not maybe consciously.
I don't think it was consciously. I just always identified more with the monster and everything. Hell, man, even like with like, I remember when I watched, I always identified with King Kong. I just like felt so bad for him. I remember when like the new King Kong movie came out, the one with Jack Black.
Yes.
Oh my God, I was fucking devastated. That is up there with like Old Yeller. Like I can't watch it.
Get the fuck out, for real.
So sad at the end. I can't watch it.
Holy shit.
It's maddening. I'm devastated.
So that brings up another great point, is when you and I were young, like I think we were like 14, we were arguing about who's the best character on Rampage was. And we were playing Rampage.
Yeah.
And I was like, it's obviously Lizzie.
George for sure.
And you were like, George. Yeah, no question.
Obviously George.
And I was like, well, it's obviously the Godzilla. And you were like, no, it's the monkey. And that, like, you have never fucking strayed from that.
Well, even, I'll be honest, when Godzilla, was it Godzilla 1985? When that came out, the one where like it begins with like the Bambi comes on, when he falls into the volcano at the end, spoiler alert for anybody, I was devastated. I was inconsolable.
Really?
I cried so much. My mom had to go to the store and pick up a dinosaur that looked like Godzilla because I was so devastated that Godzilla died. I could not handle it.
Wow. Like what
Auntie from
Auntie.
Auntie from Honey, I Shrunk the Kids. Oh my god.
Oh,
Auntie
yeah.
died. Oh my god, it was the worst. I've always identified with the monster.
Wow.
Ludo was I really loved him. He was awesome.
I mean, that's so interesting. Like, I kind of want to like dive into like the whys behind everything, but I don't know.
It's always just been like I just always identified with the monster.
That's cool. Has there ever been a monster that you've been like, don't really care? I mean, that you can like readily remember.
Well, I think you are kind of supposed to identify with like with King Kong, and you are supposed to identify with Auntie and Godzilla and all those.
Of course.
I remember when like the 1998 Godzilla came out,
The American one.
one. I didn't really care as much. I mean, he was more of a like a true villain in that.
Well,
like
they never tried to make him sympathetic.
Yeah.
It was so missing every fucking point that every other movie had tried to make.
And I loved it, but like the monster from what's the found footage one where they ended up doing like the trilogy out of it.
Which one?
Like the monster almost kind of looks like a really long-legged character. It was found footage.
Why am I blanking on this?
J.J. Abrams wrote it.
Oh, wait. Cloverfield?
Yeah, Cloverfield.
Oh, that was like the kaiju.
Yes.
Okay, cool,
Yeah,
cool.
I didn't really identify with that monster. I mean, but I thought they did like a really great job for what it was, but
so here's what I'm hearing is like you don't identify with a monster, you identify with a monster who is a character, who actually has depth to them.
I suppose
just because a monster exists doesn't mean you're automatically going to go, well, they're fucking awesome.
Iron Giant.
Well, I mean, dude, if you don't identify with Iron Giant, you're fucking heartless.
Agreed.
Like oh God, I can't tell you. I watch that movie every couple years, and I'm like, you know what? This time
it's not going to get dusty.
I'm old enough, and I'm not going to cry.
Superman.
That's it. That's the line right
yeah.
there. And every time he does it, I bawl like a little baby bitch.
Yeah.
And I don't care, because in my head I'm like, are you fucking hearing this? He's Superman. Like, it's amazing. It's amazing.
But I mean, like, I could care less about Superman or Batman or any of the Marvel characters, but like the big monsters.
Okay. That's super interesting.
Yeah.
But I mean, that takes me back to like the whole mentality of Frankenstein, where it's like
I always felt bad for Frankenstein.
I mean, you should. If you have a fucking heart in you, you should. Because Frankenstein was made against his will. He was literally brought back from the dead where he shouldn't be. And he was viewed as a monster for it, except one little girl who just saw him as a dude.
As her friend?
Yeah.
Yeah. Is that how that worked? I never read the original book.
Mary Shelley?
Yeah, I never read it.
Do you ever see that meme online where someone hand wrote on the last page? And it says, as the monster rode on a raft across the river, he shouted back, "It's okay, you can call me Frankenstein."
Oh man, the Frankenstein from Monster Squad.
Yeah, perfect.
Yes,
perfect example. But they made him into a character. Like you can like actually like spend time with him as a fucking person. Like he's human. You know.
Yeah.
Like King Kong was
more human than human.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Thank you, Rob Zombie.
Thank you, Rob Zombie.
God, that song is still fucking good.
Yeah, it is.
So what have you been up to besides, crushing all monsters?
I'm drawing I'm drawing a police station in California right now, in like the San Francisco Bay.
This is a new one?
Yeah, it's like obviously I can't say like
of course,
stuff, but it's in the East Bay area.
That's cool. Are you enjoying it?
Yeah, I mean there's like 2 site locations, and it's one of these things where we're doing like the initial proposal, and my boss is just like, he's like, I think like if we get this job, it's going to lead to something else big. And he's like, you only have one rule. I just want you to make it look cool.
Whoa, dude, you're getting like a lot of leeway.
Yeah. They just make it look cool. So
holy shit, that's
I'm going for that.
awesome. Get to draw monsters.
It's a real unique site. Like the difference in between the two sites, like one site is, so it's an area where it's predominantly Asian. And
California?
Yeah. It's predominantly Asian in one area. It's like on a former like the former city hall was there, and
Okay.
that one's kind of like a neat, like more urban site. And the other one's next to an airport, and it's like in an area where man, like back in the 60s, it was predominantly black.
Okay.
And like was like really well known for the blues, but like they didn't have any hookups as far as like they didn't have like any plumbing, they didn't have access to like police or fire station or anything like that.
Oh God, okay.
And they ended up like, and none of the towns wanted to help them out, like so they had to like just get absorbed by this larger city.
No shit.
And like in the wake of everything with George Floyd, like people are kind of looking back at their past and like saying like, all right, what did we do wrong? And I think like, and in that site, you know, it's like kind of putting this thing here could eventually lead to, you know, additional commerce and everything like that. So they're both just really cool, and it's both like two different crazy ideas that it could go.
I was gonna say like when
I'm not like the head design director. I'm getting like the first swing at it, and he'll kind of make adjustments as he sees fit. But when you're designing it, like when you're going in with like a conceptual,
I know you well enough to know that you're looking at the history of the place,
and that's why I know all those things. Like I could tell you, I know exactly where like during World War II, where all the like Japanese people like got lined up to go to the internment camps, and like I mean I read about everything.
Oh
to
God,
kind of like absorb as much from the area as I can. Like looking into Japanese architecture, and like you can't like, you don't want to like be too on the nose with it,
right?
You know, but I mean there are some things that are, it's
just have a Tory gate above the garage. Man,
I know, right? Fine. There's like that whole like part of America is like probably, you know, if there's a high water mark where mid-century modern like really hit, it would definitely be on the West Coast, and like that's like where the water crested, and like you'll get some of the coolest mid-century modern architectures out that way. So you can't really go wrong with like an homage to that.
Okay.
So that's kind of.
What about the black neighborhood? Because like that screams to me like you have a chance here to do something that's like profound for a culture that never had this.
Yeah, they never had that. Well, the thing that's like I feel like you almost got to touch it with white gloves, because you're designing, like you're bringing in the police to bring in. So there's something like there's like a weird feeling to that. And again, like you don't want to be like too on the nose. Like how do you design for that? You know, I think like bringing in the additional commerce and stuff like that, you know, where you say like, not only will you bring in a police station, but you'll also bring in retail and stores, and the police station will bring in, you know, a reason for there to be other things around it to kind of make up for that. So
community growth.
Yeah. Some sort of community growth.
Community more together.
Yeah. Like, you know, we can have like an opportunity for business owners and everything to go there and stuff like that. So
that's really smart.
But like, again, to me, I think, and this was like the design director that was at this place that I worked before like years ago, he always said like he was a mid-century modernist at heart, and that's always kind of something that I glommed onto as well. You can't go wrong with it. Like that was in America, like that was it, man. Like 1960s architecture in America was the bee's knees.
Do you think
well, not just like probably like 1930s to like 1970s.
Really?
Yeah.
What took over? Because like that's a pretty hard timeline.
So there was some transitional architecture. It was like the Beaux Arts movement was really big, and like Art Nouveau type stuff and Art Deco were really big.
Yeah. But that was like prior to it, right?
That was prior to that. Then you ended up getting like these more transitional styles, like Frank Lloyd Wright. Louis Sullivan was kind of like more of the transitional guy to like move into, especially in the Chicagoland area, what it meant to be mid-century modern. And then people like Frank Lloyd Wright kind of took over more in the Chicagoland area.
Yeah.
And it was just, industrialization and I don't know, like they wanted cleaner lines. The international style was like a real big thing. The Bauhaus movement in Germany, like from the 1930s, was a huge influence.
So you've explained this to me before, but explain it again.
So the Bauhaus, Walter Gropius is the name of the architect that started the international style in Germany. It was the 1930s, as we all know. Nazis ruined everything. And a lot of those guys ended up kind of getting scattered. And it was like in Germany, it was like the peak of design at the time. Like they were like really like stripping away a lot of ornamentation and just like doing these real pure, simple forms. And they're elegant and simple. They're easy to make, easy to replicate.
Okay.
A lot of industrial design came out of the Bauhaus movement. But that particular type of style ended up moving into architecture, and it, having easily replicated material that you could, clad a building with. It just made things like simpler. And so that kind of, when they all kind of came over, like Mies van der Rohe is one of the people from there. Again, like I said, Walter Gropius. Mies van der Rohe ended up starting he started the design school at IIT in Chicago, Illinois Institute of Technology. And he like changed the face of what Chicago is. Like the skyscrapers in Chicago have a very particular look that was based off of the international style, which was kind of brought along with Mies van der Rohe.
Okay.
But that like super clean lines and everything, real simple, real elegant. You can't go wrong with that. I think like a big, what is his name? Not Louis Sullivan. I'm blanking on the guy.
Louis C.K.
No, God dang it.
Damn it.
Louis Kahn. Louis Kahn is like, he's probably, I don't know. I think like in architecture, a lot of people know Louis Kahn. And he was like the big guy that a lot of people learn from. But like more people should know Louis Kahn. Like he did like super simple, totally elegant and beautiful buildings. Like if you start a building with Louis Kahn in mind, you're probably not going to screw up.
So you keep saying that. You keep going back to like you can't go wrong.
Okay. So
what does that mean?
There are styles and there's things that you can do that are timeless.
Mm-hmm.
You can't do something that's like if I do a mid-century modern inspired building now, it's going to look good in like another 100 years.
What happens after that, though? Because there's always going to be like a next art movement.
There is, but so with architecture, the movement that happened after mid-century modernism was postmodernism.
Right.
And a lot of that, Robert Venturi wrote a book that was like kind of about like different types of architecture that were big in the Las Vegas area. Like Learning from Las Vegas is the name of the book. And it was just kind of a different way on how to look at architecture and how, I don't know, it's like this thing of like a mixing of forms and how that kind of, like when you drive down the street and you see like all the like the McDonald's signs and stuff like that, and just all the like the weird signage and everything, like that's all kind of part of like the postmodernism. That idea came from the Robert Venturi
about standing out instead of like forming in.
Yeah, where you're kind of, it's almost like architectural symbolism. He was the guy that kind of called the building a duck or a decorated shed.
Okay.
Like a lot of there's like most architecture in America now are decorated sheds. All your big box stores, decorated shed. Most buildings are decorated sheds.
What's a duck?
A duck that was named after a building that made ducks.
Fucking A.
So like, and it was supposed to be like real tongue in cheek. You know, but like the idea then was, you know, if you could look at a building and what goes on inside is kind of reflected on the outside, that's kind of what it was. And like the on the nose was the duck. Like if I were to design a big projector, ta-da, you make movies there.
Gotcha.
You know, but there is something like very kind of funny to say, like from a mile away, you could see that and say that is a building where movies are made. But it's, you know,
I understand.
But that's when it's so postmodernism can be done very poorly. Like you can screw it up.
I would assume so.
You could screw it up really bad. And there's like a plays on scale, and you know, there's like there's a particular scale, a human scale to things and buildings that have been around for a very long time, and like they blow things out of scale and they make stuff look, I don't know, like just really odd, and you could screw it up really bad. But like some of the things that you can take from postmodern architecture, again, to like say like what's going on the inside can reflect what's going on the outside. So like, you know, having like larger glass, like where you have conference spaces being like a lot of the glass, and there's a lot of activity that's going on in these conference areas or a training area, and that's where you have the glass, and that's where you can kind of like see inside and outside, and I can visually see like people moving around in those spots. Like that's kind of the idea that probably should have, like how it should have been used for that. But now, I mean, it's, I don't know. People want to like, you want to clad things, and a lot of the stuff you're going to be cladding these buildings with are all going to kind of look the same. Like with residential, a lot of times you're going to end up with some cementitious, like hardy board product, or some sort of like metal panel, like everything. There's a lot of people that don't like the way that architecture is going in America because everything kind of looks the same now.
So what's the next step?
Zoning is a big thing that kind of stops stuff. Zoning isn't created by architects. It's like your city planners.
Yeah, that sounds like the red tape of our architecture.
I mean, everything is red tape in architecture. Like that's what we have to put up all the red tape and then design what's ever left over.
Gotcha.
And that really is a lot of what we do. But with the zoning, like, you know, they're going to tell you like where the residential areas are, where the commercial areas are.
Right.
Like if you're going to have like a planned urban development or something like that. And then there'll be the rules, like the setbacks of like in this area, you have to design like 20 feet back from the front, 15 feet from the sides, and like another 20 feet from the back. And like, then you got the draw within there, and they'll tell you the heights that you can build to.
Wow. It's hella restrictions, like, I always think like, oh, you're being too restrictive. You can't be free to do your own shit. But like when you have restrictions, I think that's when you can really find creativity.
Oh, dude, totally. I remember like it was the very first assignment when we were doing like design stuff. And this was when like, if you got like a really good teacher, they're going to be teaching you things and you don't even know it yet. Like Mr.
Bingo.
Miyagi, just like Mr. Miyagi. And the way, and just the way we were doing it is we had this thing where this was actually like super clever. You don't even know it. So it was the first project was called 96 Shapes.
96
and there was like,
shapes.
There was just 96 shapes, and you had a 3-inch by 3-inch block.
You're right. That is what I have. But please go on.
A 3-inch by 3-inch like piece of paper.
Oh, okay.
And there's rules on how lines can work in this piece of paper. You can go from corner to corner, middle to middle.
Yeah. Oh, okay. Yeah.
You can do any sort of circle, but like you have to have a radius only from. You can have a radius only at the corners or centers, or where there's any line, the corner or center from those lines. So So you had all the rules from this, and you had your 96 shapes, and all 96. This was, oh my god, it was like, well, it was an incredibly difficult project.
Inside that square,
you had to have 96 separate designs.
Oh, get the fuck out!
You had to have 96 separate designs, and then once you had all 96 separate designs, because they are all kind of designed in a certain way where, you know, because they're all 3x3 and you could always go center by center, you had to take all 96 shapes and you had to whittle it down to a 9x9 block.
Whoa.
So I had to take all my 3 and then I had to put it in a block. Now I have 9 inches by 9 inches made from
96 different.
Well, from out of the 96, I had to pick 9 shapes.
Oh, my bad.
And assemble them in a way that they were visually appealing.
Oh, okay. I'm understanding it now. Sorry.
So now I'm just taking all these shapes and just putting them together so they're visually appealing. That was the second assignment. You had to like pick everything and put them all together.
Wow. Jesus.
And if you wanted to, you were allowed to add separate lines. You could add additional lines. You couldn't change what was there, but you could add additional lines.
Okay.
And on top of that, you're now allowed to have a hierarchy of line weight. Before, all the lines had to be the exact same line weight.
Okay.
Now you could use like kind of a fine, a medium, or a heavy line. And then that kind of, and then now you got to make, now there was this just a larger thing made from all these smaller things.
Yeah.
That was the second. That was assemblage. The third thing was you had to take all of those shapes and you had to shade them as though they were 3D shapes and create a 3D form by just merely shading. So if I had like a circle, I had to pick like, you had to like make the assumption, okay, the light's going to come from here.
Correct. That's what
I have a circle. So now you have to shade these things. And now you're kind of creating this depth. From this shape.
Now, was the light source the same for all the shapes? Like it was a solid area, like a place, or could you do multiple light directions?
I suppose you could have done multiple, but it's probably more visually stunning to do it. It's more dramatic to do the one light.
It is, yeah.
Just, when architects design, they always say like the shadows are an architect's paintbrush.
This is why, like, you and I had talked for years about doing something to do with architecture and film because it's uncanny, unfucking canny how they line up.
Isn't that crazy?
Yeah.
So we ended up that was the third assignment, and the fourth assignment was we now had to make a 3D physical model
of that
thing that we made.
Fuck out.
And then with that, there was the rules. Now we had like all these other rules, and you could remove any line you wanted, but now you had these lines to start it with, and you had to build the whole thing up. And there was like essentially like a lot of the rules were taken away. And I remember our professor saying like, now that all the rules are gone, you can go up and do whatever you want. And it was almost impossible to do anything. You're frozen. It's so hard when you don't have rules to just put your line on paper and make whatever you want. It is like the more rules you give yourself at the beginning, the easier it is to design.
That's what I tell my kids all the time. Teaching, I'm like, if you follow this, it becomes second nature to a point where it's like everything just makes sense. But you need to do that in the beginning. You need to build the fucking foundations. I always use the terminology of like building a house. Ironically enough, I always say like, if you just drive pieces of wood into the ground and expect to make walls that are actually going to hold up, you're sorely mistaken. You need the foundation, you need the groundwork, you need that base. And I'm learning that with business too, especially with branding. Jesus fucking Christ, how easy it is to like market a business if you have the base work down. And I'm sorry, I'm getting off topic.
No, that's fine. What's the base work? Like, what would be the base work for branding?
So a great analogy about this is we actually had a friend over here a couple weeks ago, and she explained this so much easier than I ever have. So I'm going to steal her the way she says it. Because when I say it, I'm like, let me tell you about 20 minutes and then let's get to the point. She says when she sits down with a business, she asks the who, what, where, when, why. Okay. And if they can answer all those questions correctly, like it's not a quiz, it's not a test, but it's like making sure you have your ducks in a row before you start throwing shit tons of money in the wrong direction. So once you can answer all those questions, Then she asks how. And the how is always like social media, make a commercial, do networking, blah, blah, blah. Like all this shit that we just take like, well, that's what you do for marketing. But you can't do any of that until you have the who, what, where, when, why.
Can you take give me a common marketing thing that everybody knows and like explain to me what, when, where, why, and how is like McDonald's.
Sure. Okay, let's use social media as an example because, it's easy. It's ubiquitous in our world. And let's take like a video, a simple 30-second video, a simple commercial, right? If you don't understand all the other things and you just shoot a commercial to advertise your business, it could work. It very much could work. But the chances are extremely minimal. That would be like putting 2x4s in the ground without cement or anything and being like, look, I built a house. It's like, yeah, you certainly did.
But like,
is that actually going to work?
Well, no, I mean, like for McDonald's,
yes.
I'm going to do a 30-second commercial for McDonald's. What's who, what, when, where, why, and how?
So who is always who your audience is. Who are you speaking to? Who are you trying to find? And this is what it's called a persona. Okay. So for McDonald's, like I don't know their exact demographic, so I'm just going to wing it here. Okay. I'm guessing probably middle or less wage families, right? You're looking either at children or middle-aged people with children. So parents. But when you do a persona, the persona has to be like dead fucking on. So like a brand like McDonald's will have like 12 different personas. And it depends, like then they can aim a commercial for that exact persona.
Interesting.
So let's do an example for McDonald's. Let's say you're going for the single parent. Okay? You're going for the single mom because you can't just choose parent. You have to go male or female. So let's go for the single mom. Okay? So that is who you're trying to target, the single mom. The what is what are you trying to do for them? What is their value? Okay, your kid wants some fun food, wants to get out of the house, wants to enjoy a toy with their meal, maybe get that fun chicken nugget that they fucking love, but that doesn't matter. Like those things don't matter because you don't sell the product, you sell the feeling, you sell the experience. This is why you never see a commercial with someone just eating a fucking hamburger. You see them running around a playset. You see them celebrating a birthday at McDonald's. You see them excitedly going to McDonald's and dancing like Mac and Me, right? You see the experience rather than the thing. For a 30-second commercial, I'm not going to want to see a burger for that long. The burger is what you're selling eventually, but you're selling the feeling of what it's going to like to have that burger. So maybe if you're selling to a single mom, you're selling time. You don't have to cook tonight. We know you're busy. We know you got shit to do. But we can take that away. We can give you back that time and make sure your kid's happy. So you get to have a little bit of me time. You get to be super mom. Now that's the what, okay? Now the when is, this is kind of the weird thing, is you need to know when your audience needs this. So this plays a lot into like research. Like you're going to play it on social media. So you need to know where, and that's where the where comes in, is where are your audience? So
you were just saying when.
Yeah, I know. And that's what this shit comes in. Like it kind of like dives all back and forth. So when are they going to see this? But you can't really decide when until you have the where, and then they kind of coexist together, right? So where is, we decided this was going to be a social media campaign.
Is the when and where when the commercial is going to air, or the when and where is when they're going to use the product or have the feeling?
Yes.
Okay.
All of it.
Okay.
So it's kind of a ping-ponging back and forth. So where is not where per se exactly where they're going to go, but that does play a part of the where. In the beginning, the where is about the commercial. Getting them to the location is the fucking end result. We don't care about that right now. We care about getting it in front of your fucking eyes. Because if you don't see this commercial, what's the fucking point of spending all this money on something that never gets seen? So you need to know where your audience is at. Single moms, let's say 30s, probably Instagram, I would say YouTube and Facebook. Okay? For McDonald's. Now, it depends on your brand, depends on your audience, depends on their needs. But if those social medias, I would say those would be the three I would go after. And if I really hammered home one of those, I would probably have to pick Instagram or YouTube. And I always lean toward YouTube because the fucking universal ability that you can market on YouTube is fucking insane. But Instagram's really good for that 30 crowd. So let's say we go to Instagram, right? You advertise on Instagram, you need to know where your audience is at. So let's say, because you advertise toward the Midwest, epically fucking different than you do toward the East Coast or the West Coast or the South.
How so?
Language you use, the verbiage, who you show in the video. Like, someone on the East Coast doesn't want to see someone with a flannel on.
What?
No.
I don't want to go anywhere near the East Coast.
But I meant like, so the East Coast wants more upstanding because that's what that culture is, right? The West Coast
Like
wants
a
more
suit?
chill, more, well, like suit or like, relaxed, casual, but they don't, I'm not saying those people don't exist there. Like blue collar, of course, exists everywhere. But East Coast has a different mentality. It has a different vernacular.
Business.
Yeah, right. But also like metropolises, like what you would air in Chicago is not what you're going to air in northern Wisconsin. And both of them are Midwest, right?
That makes a lot of sense.
Wildly fucking different mentalities. So you got to know where your audience is. Not just where they're going to see it, but actually where they are. And this all comes into the persona, right? So once you have all this shit in a row, and there's a lot more to it, then you can start saying, how do we make this? Then you can say, how do we get this message across? Now you're looking at, okay, now we can make a commercial. You don't start with the commercial first. You start with all this shit, because once you have all that who, what, where, when, why in black and white, you can make everything you want and then just look at the rules. You can look at the foundation and go, oh, fuck, this makes sense. This is what we're going for. Boom. We can make a commercial. We can make a blog. We can go on a podcast. We can do fucking hundreds of things by looking back at the rules.
So there's usually, like when I was just talking about architecture, how like it kind of, there was, something that causes some sort of paradigm shift to go into a different way of looking at things. And I remember for my thesis reading about architecture and advertising, and they kind of talked about like three different, like, I don't want to call it like a genre, but three different like eras of advertising. Like they talked about like the 60s advertising and what they were looking for then. They talked about like 70s and 80s advertising, and then they talked about 90s advertising. And I remember them saying like the 90s advertising, they knew that being advertised to and they hated it. And you had to advertise in a way where they almost like poked fun at it. It was like a very
meta.
Yeah, like they were very self-aware. Like I remember the commercial that they talked about in the book, and I thought was hilarious, was the one where the kid's going, Grant Hill drinks Sprite. Grant Hill drinks Sprite.
I remember
and he
that.
started running. He thought he could play basketball like Grant Hill because he drank Sprite, and he could not, and like completely flubbed it. And they like said like, don't be an idiot. Just because you drink Sprite, you're not.
I love
Grant
that,
Hill. And it was genius. But I wonder, is that still going on? Like, is there a different era we're in now? I mean, that was 20 years ago.
Now, commercials is not what I do, but I really should be paying more attention to it. The problem is every time I pay attention to commercials, like I watch
what's
the
the
Super Bowl. Well, there's a big difference. Like what I do is more brand storytelling than commercials.
Okay. Well, then tell me the difference between the two.
A commercial is a product of brand storytelling. what I am trying to focus on is like, let's say you're the business. I come to John's architecture firm and I want to know all about you. I want to know all about what you're trying to do for your audience. And that's what it comes down to is like, this is going to sound crass and fucking way off base. I don't give a shit about you. Okay. What I care about is what you are doing for your clientele. I'm caring about why they love you. Okay. And what you envision you are doing might not always be what your audience actually sees you as. You know what I mean?
Mm-hmm.
Like, I am not my audience by a fucking long shot. Okay. If I showed up to a meeting dressed like this, I'd be laughed out. You know, people who are sitting down with me typically have the money to spend. And I do not look like I am presenting that way. Right. So knowing your audience and what they want really shifts the dynamic of what you actually do. You know, people come to you in your legitimate job not to fucking build a fucking shed in the backyard. They're coming there for a legitimate, well thought out game plan of something that is fundamental for a community. You know, it's not something that's just like, okay, well, you have a week to design this one thing. And I don't even know what's inside your head right now, but I would imagine a week would be like, fuck you. That's not even enough time to fucking do research. And I get that. So the difference between a commercial and a brand story is I'm sitting down and I'm learning everything so I can best suggest what you can do rather than coming in and they say, make this commercial, I make the commercial, then I'm done. I want to see the brand succeed, not just the project. Does that make sense?
It does. Yeah. You're selling a completely different thing.
Yeah.
Yeah. You're selling an image. You're not selling a product.
Bingo.
Okay.
I'm selling an experience and a feeling.
Well, has there been eras with brand imaging, or is brand imaging new
God.
also?
No, it's definitely not new. It's as old as fucking businesses exist. But the problem is, like, it hasn't been studied to the theoretical sides. Now, granted, I didn't study this shit. This is shit I'm just getting into. I like this because this is the exact same fucking thing as writing a script. Like, you need to understand your characters before you can write a script about them, right? Like, what do they always tell when you're writing a script or a book or something? They say, you know, write 300 pages just about your character that will never be a part of the book, because you need to know that character inside and out. And like, once you start writing for a long time, like when we were doing the comic strip, like there were so many times where I was writing their dialogue. I was like, I don't know what they would say. And I would just write it because I knew the fucking characters. And it's like, I'm rereading it right now, by the way.
The comic?
And I'm loving it. I forgot half of them.
From high school?
No, from the half-hearted headache.
Yeah.
And I'm like, oh my God, like I knew these fucking characters inside and out. Like, so much so that I didn't pre-plan the dialogue, man. That shit just, like, when it came time to write the dialogue, I'm like, what would they say? Blah, 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 blah. That's what they would say. Like, it wasn't like thought processes, but I understood the fucking characters. And that's what you have to do for a brand. And like, the brands that have stood the test of time, like look at like Sears and Roebuck, look at like any of these giant fucking companies that have been around for 100+ years. They understand the fucking brand. And that's why they have stood the test of time. The commercial is the how. That is the last fucking thing you worry about. You understand the theory behind the building you're making. You understand the reason why you are doing what you're doing. Because there's 1,000 things that need to happen before you lay a fucking brick down.
I'm very interested in in the etymology of the word branding. When a brand is something that is seared into something else.
Right.
When the brand isn't, and in the like the truest sense of that word, the brand isn't what's on the product. The brand is on the person that views the product.
Yes. So the age-old quote is, a brand is not what you put out. A brand is, when you leave the room, how people think of you.
How have you burned yourself into the people?
Their experience, their minds, their feelings. Yeah. And shit, like, this is literally when I started learning about this shit, like, that's why I fell in love with it, because this is the kind of shit I love about film. I love the theory stuff, man. I love breaking down, like, the critical analytics of it. And, like, why do I feel this way when a camera moves from one way versus the other way? Why do I feel this way when you edit a certain way, when you hold on a shot a long time? Why do I feel different than when you cut away? It's the exact same thing.
Do you ever feel like you get stuck in the theory?
Oh my God. Every fucking day.
I remember, like, there was a lot of theory that I was getting into for grad school, and, like, I had professors warn me, like, don't get stuck in that, because all theory is just a lot of, I'm not going to say mumbo jumbo, but there's there's a lot of things that are, like, you know, people will take as face value, but
yes,
it doesn't always work.
Right.
Theory only, it's a theoretic framework on how to view questions.
Yeah.
And it doesn't always apply.
Right.
Like, the good theories apply a lot, but they don't always apply.
And they don't always overlap, because what I tell my students in the class that I teach, I'm like, it's great to know these things. Like, you have to have a basis to know about these things, but you don't always have to follow them if it doesn't apply. Like, if you don't need it, sometimes you don't need it. Like, you know, like the rule of thirds, right? That's like core fucking art 101, right? Like the thirds, you know, anything on the lines of thirds, those four locations will always look and feel better than any object that is not on those four locations. And that's true. But at the same time, you do something like Mr. Robot, where, like, the head is in, like, the far right bottom quadrant, and it makes you feel fucking sick inside watching it. It's like, well, yeah, because it's designed that way. You're literally taking away what we've always known as safe, beautiful. This makes me feel good in this image.
Do you feel like, in a way, you're creating, it's a self fulfilling prophecy or self-fulfilling theory that, you know, if this is what is always being shown, because culturally that's what our academia has told us is what you're supposed to like, and you're just kind of grooming the viewers to think that way?
Oh, of course. I mean, there's a language. I mean,
like Eastern versus Western design is, like, so bananas different.
Oh my God,
and how they see things. And
I
how we
love
see
this
things.
shit.
Yeah, I enjoy it as well. And it's hard to, like, you can't plan for it.
What do you mean you can't plan for it?
I remember back when I was, like, doing the first stuff with school, like, I would have to, like, say, you can't put anything anywhere in a building that doesn't have, like, multiple purposes, because somebody's going to pay for it, right? And, like, there's always, and it's, you know, ours, the big buzzword that, no, I'm not going to call it a buzzword, but, like, the big thing that you always have to think of is, like, what's the intent?
Okay.
Right. And that's the thing, is, like, it's always your intent, but you can't force anybody to do anything that they don't want to do.
Good point.
And, you know, when you have your intent, if you have it in mind for an Eastern audience versus a Western audience, they're going to take everything differently. You can't, I don't think, or here we go. We'll go back to what your neck of the woods. I don't think you could make a Disney manga.
Well, walk me through that, because I beg to differ, because Hero's journey lasts in every, but are you talking about the art style or the storytelling?
The art style. Well, no, a little bit of both.
Okay.
Because, like, Disney's gonna like be way closer to the formulaic hero's journey, and the repercussions and what happens, especially, like, in newer Disney films, like, there's, like, no, like, real consequences anymore. Like, good guy always wins.
Super true.
Whereas, like, and a big reason why I think manga is more superior is, like, there's real risk. Like, in America, like, we lost our minds because Game of Thrones killed characters off.
Lead characters. Yeah. Right.
And
right.
that's all that is just regular storytelling.
Yes.
So I don't think you could. I mean, well, I guess maybe I don't think you could do a modern Disney movie as a manga because I don't know. And then again, and I'll tell you why. And this kind of even goes back to an earlier question I just asked you. Is it because it doesn't test well and people are just telling themselves what is good and what is bad, and you're just like formulaically you're altering culturally what people think is right and wrong and everything. Like good guys always win.
Well, I mean, that's a fucking
Bad things don't happen to me because I'm good.
So let's look back at like biblical stuff, right? Typically stuff happened to people to be an allegory for other people's lives, right? Like it was like a teaching tool.
Yes. But like back during biblical times, like biblical torture was an actual thing and morals were like, they didn't torture you to kill you. Like they tortured you because that's what they did. And you died as a result of the torture.
Oh, okay.
Like it was like awful, like making you eat your children and then stabbing your eyes out. So the last thing you saw was like your children dying.
So
like
early Disney is what you're saying. Okay,
Way
I got
early
you. I got
Disney.
you.
So
Sorry, I couldn't hold a straight face during that.
biblical things are, I don't know. It's always
Fair enough. Fair
Okay.
enough. So let's.
But yeah, I go to like Aristotle and shit like that, like those types of allegories.
Yeah,
A little bit more earlier things.
Maybe we're going too broad with this. Let's go back to the only thing I can fucking bring to the conversation, John.
Star Wars.
Movies. Okay, let's go Star Wars. Let's fucking do Star Wars here. Okay, so Star Wars. First thing that comes out with Star Wars is New Hope, right?
Yeah.
Good guys win.
Yes.
Mostly.
Because you had
Obi-Wan still dies.
Obi-Wan dies, which
Yeah.
you're not going to get. I think the last time somebody died in a Disney movie was the lightning bug in shoot, it was like one of the princess ones.
Wait, I'm thinking the grasshopper from Mulan. But
Yeah,
here's the
like
thing.
a bug can die, but like an actual character doesn't die very often.
And I'll tell you, like I'm going to use the word Disney for this next example, but I don't mean Disney per se. I mean like the Disney mind thought process. Okay, with going along with what you're saying. You have your characters that you fall in love with, that they have to go through trials and tribulations, and then one of them will die.
The mentor.
But then they come back. And anytime...
Not always.
No. I'm not saying always. I'm saying like with the Disney mindset, with these movies where it's like, oh, someone like pushes the main
They'll come back
character.
in the clouds.
Huh?
Even like Littlefoot's mom, he saw in the clouds.
That's different. That's dead, but that's like an emotional connection. I'm talking like characters who like get crushed under a house, like a burning house or something, right? And then as the lead character is sobbing, being like, oh, I can't believe you died. Like, oh, this is so sad. And then like the eyes open up on the dead character and they're like, oh, I'm okay. It's like, fuck you. Not only have you taken me down an emotional lie, but now I feel nothing for you because this coming back to life, that emotion in me, my journey through this story is no longer earned. You just
totally
cut the rope.
Totally agree. Like if there's no like actual loss going to happen,
Yes.
it's not really worth it.
Don't do that fake loss shit.
You just it's like the almost it now becomes actual loss where you can equate the same thing. I almost died. No, you didn't. No, you didn't.
Like, do you remember the movie Butterfly Effect?
Yes.
You've seen the real ending, right?
Love it.
It's so good. I remember watching that movie and like with the released ending, the theatrical ending. And I remember like when the ending comes and like Ashton's walking down the street and he sees the girlfriend. And he's like, nah, it's okay. I'm just going to let her go. I'm like, what the fuck is this? This is so stupid. stupid. It would have been good if he would have went back into the womb and killed himself before he was ever born.
And save everybody.
And saved everybody. And that's what it was. He needed to be the hero to do something that no one would fucking do. And because he did it, or at least in my mind as I was thinking at that time, I was like, that would have made such a powerful emotional connection, and it would have been the perfect ending to what the story was telling. And then lo and behold, like the Blu-ray or the DVD came out years later, and I was like, oh, that was the original ending. And they tested it with audiences, and they were sad. Fuck your audiences.
Oh, it was so when you think that he's a baby that comes back and he strangles himself with his umbilical cord to save everybody. And it's like, holy crap.
Because it's earned. And that's what I'm noticing.
He went through the trials and he failed.
That's it. He
started the journey thinking he could do something. And in the end, he is the hero, and he has to give something up, which was like life completely as itself.
And that's it. Yeah, you have to give something up. Luke gives up Obi-Wan. He gives up his family, his history, everything he's known to do what he wanted to do. But I'm sorry, a price has to be paid. If the price isn't paid, and I call it earning, right? Like, I can't tell you how many times I'll watch a movie and like something will happen. I'm like, they didn't earn that. You don't get to be happy here. You don't get to have this great victory. You didn't earn it.
I wanna jump topics real quick.
Do it.
Do you think the prequels or not the prequels, the sequel thing?
Ew.
You think there's anything salvageable with that now? Like, the years have gone by, it started to settle in. I don't really know what they can do with the story.
You mean moving forward?
Yeah. You think it's even possible? Do you think like that's the end of it and everything's just like an in-between?
I will tell you what I fucking told you watching the prequels. I don't want to see Luke's story anymore. Star Wars, the universe, the fucking universe that exists in is so vast. There is so much more possibilities of good stories. Now, you and I, including at least one of the people who is actually listening to this, have read a lot of the expanded universe stuff, like the core books before it became expanded universe, right? It was like the stories. And not all of them dealt with Jedi. Not all of them dealt with this super small sect of the universe. They dealt with fucking a pilot in the fucking vast part of the universe. Like, there's so much more cool shit you can do.
That's true, but there was no real closure to the big story.
You're fucking right. And maybe I don't want the closure.
Well, a lot of people who spent the time and the money wanted like an actual ending. And there isn't one.
But they keep fucking it up.
It was bad. Like, there was no honorable end. Like, it essentially, the ending they gave you means like, hey, you know those decades you spent with George or with the Skywalkers, they're all just losers in the end.
It's worthless.
It was all completely worthless and for nothing in the end.
Yes, that's how I felt. I felt like I was being spit on watching that in the theater. I was like, this is... And I think a lot of people, when they say this is my childhood, like, it's not your fucking childhood. It's the story that you glommed onto and felt and fucking like when you're a kid, dude, and you watch Star Wars for the first time, you were one of the fucking people.
I need a broomstick, or I need a broomstick or a tube right now, because now that's my lightsaber.
Right, because you felt like you were part of the story. Like, it's not like that you wanted to be. It's like, no, I'm a fucking Jedi. I'm fucking Han Solo.
I'm Han Solo.
Right? So, like, I always wanted to be Boba Fett. I wanted to be the guy in the background who was quiet as shit and showed up when it was fucking most badass.
I wanted to be the guy that shot at the guy with the lightsaber, not because he could do anything, but because fuck you.
So, but yeah. So, like, you get that feeling, right? And so I think that's what people think when they say the word my childhood. Like, you stole my childhood. You ruined my childhood. And because you look at the new Star Wars and it's like, that magic's not there anymore. Those characters aren't there. I'm sorry, dude. There is not a single fucking person in the new series that I would want to be.
No.
And I think the new correlation is, who do you want to cosplay as?
Yeah, nobody wants to be Rey.
I don't want to be any of those people.
I mean, there's no...
Not based on their costume, based on their character.
Yeah, there's no. But then again, like maybe kids like it. Like there's a lot of people that are younger than us that love the prequels, and even like to an extent, I think there's a lot of things that I like about the prequels now. Now that like time has passed, you know, I think Hayden Christensen like they're really opening up his arms for that guy, and he was lambasted for decades.
I'm not gonna lie, the political aspects of the prequels way more interesting than it was when I was younger.
Yeah,
The Game of Thrones shit.
I do think that Jar Jar Binks was really, really bad, though.
Oh yeah. There's no resolving that. When I think George Lucas coined the fucking term, when you create something that's toyetic, you lose the audience.
Toyetic. Oh, I love that. I've never heard that before. That's why I hate what are those? The Despicable Me?
Ewoks?
No.
Oh my God, the Minions.
I can't stand it.
I won't watch anything Illumination makes anymore because of that.
I hate those things so much.
Uh-huh.
They literally are just globule sound making
I hate them.
things.
I hate them.
So
it's not
dumb.
funny. It's not entertaining. I don't fucking get that bullshit candy gotcha mentality.
Yeah. It's awful.
And I'm not gonna lie, dude, the first Despicable Me, I fucking loved.
Yep, me too. Me too was amazing.
Ugh.
The thing where you take the bad guy and turn it into a good guy.
I love it.
I do think Megamind was the better one.
Megamind was. Did you ever see part 2?
No.
Oh, that's an abortion, man.
But I wonder with I'm hearing grumblings with the Star Wars stuff where they want to do a prequel. Like I think they really, really, really want to do like a 1,000 years prior.
Oh, well,
which I think could be really cool.
Get out of the fucking main story. Like whatever 100 years.
I mean, they're doing
in,
that.
Get the fuck out of it.
Andor, dude, that was amazing.
I had my pluses and minuses.
Loved it so much. It was dirty. It was like everything from the original trilogy.
Yeah,
and it was even darker. Oh, it was amazing.
I will say the first.
There wasn't one Jedi in there.
Yeah, and that's what I immediately found that really alluring.
Oh, the entire thing in the prison was just amazing.
Yeah, no,
it was so incredible.
I think it's not on par with Mando season 1 and 2, but it is up there as one of the better parts of Star Wars. I'm sorry, Mando season 1 is, I have never felt so like watching the first trilogy again. A couple episodes of Obi-Wan were like that too, until the last episodes.
I think looking at everything, I like Obi-Wan and I like Andor more.
Okay,
yeah.
Cool.
It is. I mean, there was like it was fun because you could see it was obviously like a Western and they played it just like that.
Yeah.
But it was like the noir of
Andor.
Yeah. I just love, man. That was so incredible. And I think there was a lot of questions and things that I had. I mean, 'cause I watched all the...
You watched everything.
I watched all the cartoons and everything. Yeah. So there was like so much payoff in that. Like that was really, really good.
You really liked Ahsoka too,
dude,
right?
Ahsoka's amazing. See, and I didn't like the Ahsoka series. Now, the only thing that I haven't seen yet is Acolyte. I've heard nothing good about Acolyte.
I'm sorry, is that out?
Yeah, it came out and I heard it was hated so much that they canceled it already.
Okay.
Which makes me kind of not want to watch it, but I'm going to anyway eventually.
That's what people said about She-Hulk, and I fucking loved She-Hulk, besides some of the dialogue.
I couldn't even... That's actually when Marvel died to me was She-Hulk.
Oh my God, it died way before that.
When I was watching that was the very first thing where I was just like, and I don't have to watch everything.
Did you really feel that way? Because like so many people were up in arms about that show, but I was like, this is actually really fun.
No, dude. All of the stuff that like Hulk went through... And you know all the trials that he was doing, like, and they built up like how hard it was to be him, and you know, and then she just like made it like it was like it ruined his entire story, and I'm like, screw this broad.
I agree with that. I hated the dialogue of her saying, "I'm a woman." It was I'm a woman and you're a guy and you're dumb, and it's like, oh wow, we're gonna Homer Simpson Hulk. Okay. Bingo.
That was.
However,
I wanna watch this.
I didn't watch it with like full fucking regalia of like Criterion mindset where it's like I have to like break down everything. It was fucking fun. It was popcorn to me. I thought it was great. The only serious problem I had with it was like my favorite Marvel character is Gwenpool, and the last episode is a hardcore Gwenpool reference. Now I know She-Hulk does the whole fourth wall breaking thing, but Gwenpool's power is literally, it's called gutter jumping, or like she can slip into the gutters of panels and like rearrange stories and shit like that, which makes it like really fucking fun to read. And then they threw away that power when they reintroduced her, and they reintroduced her wrong. But that first run of 25 issues, man, that fucking Gwenpool is awesome. And the last episode would be what Gwenpool's story would be like. Just really fucking meta. And like, you didn't finish it, did you?
No.
Basically, She-Hulk, I'm not going to ruin it for you because you're probably not going to watch it. She-Hulk finds that all the Marvel movies are being written by AI, basically. So she goes and beats it up.
Yep. I'm happy I didn't watch that. Sounds really dumb.
But like, my other favorite characters are like Laura Kinney, and I don't think they're doing Laura Kinney right in the universe either.
I don't know how they're going to start all that stuff up now. I think James Gunn jumping over to DC. DC's probably going to have
fucked up.
Yeah,
they fucked up canceling him.
Yeah, even like the third Guardians of the Galaxy was like, I think it should have been way more impactful than what it was, and you could tell like the people.
It was hokey, but I cried like a bitch, man.
Oh yeah, with all the animals and everything. Heather, I just told Heather like, don't watch it. I don't think you can handle this.
Oh, she's not good at that either.
Yeah, she can't do it.
Oh, I can't do, like, if I see like a dead cat in a movie or something, or like animals being abused, my whole fucking body shuts down.
Yeah,
like, can't do it. I'm done.
That whole movie was, or a good chunk of that movie was pretty rough.
That was
Rocket Raccoon's backstories.
Rest of the story, didn't really care about.
Nope.
Rockets, that shit was amazingly done.
Yeah, that was good. Did you ever watch Skeleton Crew?
No, I know you guys have like we are living in like a fucking time period right now where there's
too much crap.
So much good shit. And like literally, like, you know, I watch dog shit, but I watch it for enjoyment.
Mm-hmm.
But like the irony is I'm watching so many fucking good TV shows that I can't watch them all in a row because there's another show I want to watch too, like Interior Chinatown. What the fuck else did I just start up? I started up the Cyberpunk 2027 Edge Runners. I have like 5 other fucking shows that I'm watching like all at once. I'm trying to finish what's it called? Arcane.
Ooh, you haven't finished that yet?
No, but it kind of took a dump.
What? Keep watching it.
Yeah, I will, but it's like there's 8 episodes. I'm on episode 6, and it just feels like they're rushing so much.
I felt that way. It's gonna make sense.
Okay,
Yeah, it got weird, and you're like, "What the hell just happened there?"
I don't mind the weirdness. I mind like there should be an episode in between some of these episodes.
No. It feels weird for a reason.
Okay.
Yeah, where you're like, I did you feel like you missed a bunch of stuff?
No. What I feel like is like literally they're hitting ABC, but they're not slowing down long enough to make me care as much. I will say the season started off majestically good, and then it's kind of like it almost feels like there was supposed to be 10 episodes, and they're kind of compressing it. It feels like
I could see that.
I need more downtime.
They probably could have done with 2 more episodes, but I mean, they had like a third of the time to do all this stuff, and they had a lot of money. Like, what was it, $250 million they spent?
$250 million.
So,
and I will say that the 2 years to do it, that is remarkable for what they fucking did.
Yeah, and it's in this one, like they did multiple styles and everything that
I love that.
like weaved into it.
Oh, that blew me away.
Dude, it is magical.
Like I have never seen another show successfully do that.
I speaking of that, I got like 30 seconds in a Blue-Eyed Samurai, and then Heather came in. It's really good from what I've seen, and I can't wait to finish them.
I will say the first episode is really slow on purpose.
Okay.
Like it wants to like bring you into a storm by drizzling on you. So when it starts to thunder, motherfucker, you are raging.
Okay. I'm I'm excited about it. It looks exactly how you said.
Right? It
Yeah,
feels like a painting come to life.
It does. It looks gorgeous.
Like when it starts to move, I'm like, oh, like, it shocks me because
yeah.
it's so pretty.
I recently watched a documentary called Kings of Tupelo.
Oh my God. Hilda was just telling me about this.
Dude, it is. Did you ever watch Tiger King?
I couldn't get into it, man. I don't like bad people. So watching bad people makes me feel ill.
Oh, dude, then you're gonna hate this. Then okay. It is. Do you remember how batshit crazy Bubba Hotep is?
Yeah.
It's like that.
Get the fuck out. For real?
But real life. It is, because it's based. I mean, it's a documentary. Like it
yeah.
happened.
It's like a docu-series, right?
It is. It is crazy. It happened in 2013. So this was like right when I started grad school. I did not have my ear to the pulse of what was going on at all then.
What? Okay. So what's the story?
It is about a Elvis impersonator and his brother.
Oh shit! So Bubba Hotep was a real apt description. Holy shit! Okay, go on.
And that's the most normal thing about it.
Get the fuck out!
It is fucking bananas, dude.
Okay,
it is crazy how much weird shit they threw into it. It's only three episodes.
Oh,
super short.
Okay.
Yeah, you could watch it all. Like they're all like an hour or less a piece.
Oh shit!
Yeah,
all right.
It's super quick, and yeah, by the time you get to the end of it, you're like, I did not have this on my bingo card. I had no idea.
For real?
Dude, at the end of every single episode, it gets crazier.
Okay.
It gets fucking crazy.
I always try what Hilda recommends to me, and I always try what you recommend to me. Sometimes it takes me longer to actually try these things, but Skeleton Crew's on my list, Penguin's on my list because of you guys.
Dude, Penguin is so incredible.
What Disney, I'm sorry, not Disney, what DC succeeds at the TV, like where they fail at movies, they succeed in TV. Like Peacemaker, what was the crazy one with Cyborg and the robot guy and the girl with like the 300 different personalities. I'm forgetting, but that's fucking great. Every fucking DC show that is not campy, I fall in love with. But like the campy shit, like Flash and Arrow.
Yeah, I never watched any of those.
Man, do I dislike that stuff. I've tried. I watched 2 seasons of Flash, 2 seasons of Arrow, and I hated myself every fucking moment.
I have a hard time just watching superhero type stuff.
I'm not interested.
Yeah. Like I'm surprised I even lasted as long as I did with Marvel. I think it was just really good storytelling, so I stuck along with it. Now the Penguin,
yeah,
like it's not comic at all.
Okay.
Like it is very much like the Batman. I love that version of Batman where it's like pure,
hands down my favorite one.
It is so good. Like it's not silly anything. Like
yeah,
it's just like a guy who's just tired and it's dark. That's Penguin, dude.
Okay.
It is so incredibly dark. There's nothing campy at all. It's when I say campy, I'm also like, dude, it's like Goodfellas. I mean, it is fucking crazy.
Oh shit! All right, okay. Fuck you, pay me.
It's a mob flick.
Okay, I mean that makes sense. That would be like the character to do it with. Okay, cool. So I have everything. I just have to like sit down and watch. And the problem is like I'm going through my discs first because I paid money for those, and I'm thinking like, if I don't watch those, I'll be pissed at myself. So, all right, like that's the problem with TV, man. There's so many goddamn good shows. I did watch 2 movies this week.
What'd you watch?
As I was watching both of them, I knew I wanted to talk about them with you.
Okay.
Did you ever see the 1997 Jack Frost?
With Robin Williams?
No. You're thinking of guy from Multiplicity. The guy who played the first Batman.
Michael Keaton?
He was in the 1998 Jack Frost, the family-friendly one. Ironically, based on the exact same script. I'm talking about the mutant monster snowman that kills people.
I remember seeing that. I never watched
The
it.
cover?
Yep, the cover where it gets angry.
Yes.
Yes.
So for years, I've always kind of like pushed it off to the side because I'm like, I'll get around to it. But people say it's dumb, blah, blah, blah. It is a fucking joyride. I loved it legitimately, not making fun of it. I tried to make fun of it to start off with, and I'm like, no, they're actually fucking trying here and succeeding. I'm like, so the whole movie, I'm watching this like, why is this so fucking fun to watch?
Who did it?
I couldn't tell you off the top of my head.
Who's in it?
No one.
Okay.
No one that I know. Okay. But what impressed me, so I read like the history of it. And what happened was it was originally written in 1989 by an actual bigger director who was dating Gina Davis.
Okay.
And they had planned to make a $30 million movie. Jack Frost, a monster snowman that kills people in the big city, high-end CG in the vein of Terminator 2.
Oh my God. How did this get greenlit?
Because Terminator 2. Well,
Did they have James Cameron on it?
no. But they had $30 million budget, okay? Eventually, like, Gina Davis said, fuck no, I hate this script. I like Cutthroat Island instead, which bombed horribly at the box office. But so Jack Frost got pushed off to the side, but the writer was like, I still want to make this. So another production company said, okay, we'll take it on with like a $2 million budget. And he's like, okay, cool. And then they start like planning everything out. They start working everything out. And then the production company comes back and says, what about $500,000? And the director's like, do I still get to direct? And they're like, yes. He's like, okay, I will make it happen. So they start planning it. And then a fucking week before the production is supposed to actually start, the production company folds. So they have no fucking money. Everything's lined up. They put $70,000 into a suit, into a snowman suit, which when they went to go see it, they're like, no one is ever going to be scared of this.
Oh, man.
This is stupid. So literally everyone on the production went, let's lean into it.
All right. This sounds awesome.
And then they're like, fuck it, let's have fun. So the bank that was supporting the production company was still offering the money for $500K. And the bank, which never fucking happens in a movie, by the way, they said, we don't care. Do whatever you want. We want 90 minutes and available to the video market. That was their only stipulation. So they got to make the movie they actually wanted to without producers drooling down their neck telling them what to do. And legitimately, like, that's the vibe, the feeling of the movie is. It's like you're watching something where people got together and going, I get what you're trying to do here. I'm in. So it's like when the monster appears, it is a fucking obvious styrofoam fucking snowman.
But they film it really well, so it looks awesome.
No. But then a head will rip off of somebody and you're like, I'm in this. I believe this is actually happening because you're taking this seriously.
Oh, that's awesome.
You're not doing it for camp's sake. You're not doing it as a joke. I believe this is a real monster. And it's so fucking fun, dude. And there's a lot more great stories about the movie, but it's so much better than I thought it was going to be. So like highly suggest it. I don't think Heather will like it, but it is so fun. The other movie I watched, do you remember did I ever make you watch the WNUF Halloween special?
This does not ring a bell at all.
Oh my God. I need to make you watch this fucking movie. So in 2013, this film is made. It's called the WNUF Halloween special. If you don't know what it is going into it, it feels like a real videotape that was just found in a garage sale that recorded something off public TV in 1987.
Okay.
Like down to the fucking commercials. They're not doing tongue-in-cheek commercials. They're doing commercials that looked like they honestly could have aired in 1987.
I buy that for $1.
But it's not the hokey shit. It's not the gimmicky shit. It's like you watch it, and literally when Andy and I first watched it, the first one, because what I'm going to talk about is part 2. But when we watched the first one the first time, we kept looking at each other going, I remember this. Like, why does this look so fucking familiar? Like this commercial versus this commercial. Like, this looks like I remember this, and they're all fucking fake. But they're so dead fucking on how the commercials were made.
And they're not tongue-in-cheek of anything?
No.
Like, even if you put on your theoretical hat of like,
no.
what are they saying for society type of thing?
Yes. If you go the theory route, if you actually if you understand it's fake, now you can break it down. But if you don't know that going into it, you look at it and go, is this really a fucking VHS tape from 1987? That like it's just like a regional fucking commercial? It's so weird.
They're just essentially doing it to like set the mood.
Yeah, right? And the movie is like they're having a Halloween special for this newscast, and someone just recorded the Halloween special because they were going to be out of the house or something, right? Complete with like blue tape at the beginning and the fuzz and the crackles and the VHS shit all the way through. But it's this newscasters who are like, oh, it's Halloween, it's spooky news, and it's really ham and fisted, and they have like a guy out in the field interviewing people, and they're leading up to like, this house is haunted. We're gonna go inside with these, renowned spirituologists, and we're gonna talk to the ghosts, and like the whole thing is really campy, not in a bad way, but like, yeah, this is exactly how it was. And then they go inside the house, and you're like, okay, this is fun. And then fucking ghosts show up at the ending and murder them. And like the idea is like this was caught on tape, and like the idea of the movie is it was traded amongst tape collectors, right?
A true found footage.
It was a true found footage, right? So they did a sequel that takes place in the 90s. And every fucking commercial, I have to ask myself, is this fucking real? Like, it's so fucking good.
Was that zebra bubble gum?
Like, it's kind of like, you know how like when you think back to your childhood of like stupid commercials you would watch?
Yes.
It hit the nail on the fucking head. And you're laughing your ass all the way through because you know they're making this, right? You know it's fabricated. You know it's fiction. But again, you keep looking at it like, I grew up in the Midwest. I don't know what it was like in California. Is this a real fucking mattress company in California? That's weird. So like it's fucking great, man, with a great ending. Like they fucking nailed it again.
I wish I could have the time to watch these things again.
We do it every Sunday because for I don't know, like a year or so, Andy was having a real shit time at work, and she'd have the Sunday scaries where like you're just all day Sunday, you're just dreading going to work on Monday.
Heather's like that.
So what we decided to do was we started watching bad movies to blow off steam. So for a while, it was like 2 or 3 movies per day. And it always started at like 4 p.m. Like we do all our house chores, we do all our shit, do any shopping that we needed to. And then we would sit and watch at least 1, preferably 2 movies before we had to go to bed. So going to bed was always like fucking calm, relaxing. You got to laugh at shit. And then it just became what we do. Every Sunday, we have to watch at least 1 movie.
I wish I could do that.
Do you not? Is it time or?
No, I'll watch. Like I'll wake up early and I'll watch things. But like
me too.
Heather has a hard time like watching a movie.
At all?
Yeah.
How come?
She's just finicky. She just gets up and moves around a bunch.
Like your mind can't rest?
Yeah, her mind can't rest.
Did she ever try Adderall?
I don't think so. No.
Would she?
I don't know.
I'm not a proponent of giving away drugs to people who probably don't need them.
She wouldn't take them anyway.
But that's how I was introduced to it, that I was just told just to try it. And that shit fucking worked. I was totally against it, man. Totally against it. Till I did it. Now I'm the fucking poster child for it.
Poster child for Adderall.
Which RFK wants to send us to farms.
What does that mean?
RFK.
What do you mean by farms?
He said
he wants you to pick strawberries?
Yeah. He said Adderall is not a real, like, it's just meth. No one really has ADHD. People should just go work on a farm for a few years and work it out of their system.
You know, that guy was like just a heroin addict for like 20 years.
Yes.
And he has like no medical background whatsoever.
Zero.
And
It's a fucking nut job.
He ate like raw food and fucked himself up really bad mentally.
Yep. Brainworms.
With brainworms. And he's going to be running
Our health.
our healthcare healthcare in America. Nobody's batting an eye. Like he wants to get rid of the polio vaccine. He's
I know.
actively trying to get rid of the polio vaccine.
I know. He also thinks fluoride causes trans kids.
Oh man, makes the frogs gay, huh? Oh boy.
Oh my God. And I love that, like, he's so staunch on this shit. He's like, fucking McDonald's, that's fucking garbage for you. And then he's eating McDonald's and the fucking Air Force One.
That's what that's Trump's favorite food. Think Trump's gonna have a grabber before 2028?
Grab her by the pussy?
Well, he's gonna try that, I'm sure.
Yeah. I don't know. I don't see anything positive coming in the next 4 years. And fucking knock on wood, it's only 4 years.
I'm sure
because you don't have to vote again, John.
I'm sure they're gonna do everything that they can to. I don't know. I hope that I'm just making.
I do too.
I hope I'm just overthinking this.
Talking to the mic.
Yeah, I mean I hope. Like it's like being on Reddit. It's an echo chamber. I'm hoping,
dude. Me too. And I will be the first to fucking admit it when I'm wrong. I pray what I'm talking about, what I'm reading, what I'm learning is all just going to be a fucking rabbit hole of bullshit. I don't think it will.
I do know that when the brown coats were coming in Nazi Germany, they laughed at them too. They thought they were just a bunch of German hillbillies.
Yep.
Yeah. So, I don't know.
I said it before, I'll say it again. The French have it right.
I just killed everybody. Wow. I mean, you don't want to go through
and I don't.
Definitely don't want to go through one of those things.
I honestly don't.
Bring the guillotines back.
You and we talked during the week, and I think we're both on the same thing. It's like we don't condone violence. We don't want people to be hurt.
It is inevitable.
But
it's inevitable, like because it's happened.
Proven fucking anything.
It's happened 100% of the time,
every single time
in human history.
Mm-hmm.
Like, it gets so bad. That book that I was telling you about, The Debt, is very entertaining. They're kind of they're talking about that, how essentially like how debt eventually leads to like all the civil unrest and everything, and it's when like debts can't be like cleared out and paid. And it is weird that, like, right now they want to, like, well, we got to make sure we pay off our debts. But throughout human history, like, the point was that debts never got paid, and somebody came in and cleared the debts.
Yeah.
Like, they'd come through, everything would come back to zero. And there was a lot of people that, like, they would just clear the debts and everything would be okay, like, because they knew, like, it kept the boat on an even keel. If you don't want to get overthrown, if you don't want like everybody to get murdered, you got to like clear the debts.
Okay.
And it's, essentially, like, debt is just an imaginary thing anyway.
Of course it is.
It's not real. Like, they're not like, even like the idea of like money and everything is just like not a real thing. It's just money's just like it's like trusts that you will do labor for something. Or like some sort of like good or a service will have been done. And like, with capitalism, like when you break it down in between capitalists and like, and all you have to do is like to sell your body or your mind. And that's all that you have to offer. Like you either own everything or you just can sell what you have. Like that's when things start to get getting a little dark. I mean, you see like that now, like you see all these kids that are like just doing like OnlyFans for money. Like, that is some dark ass shit. Like, that is some Black
Well-
Mirror shit.
Well, if they have to. I have no problem with people doing sex work or sex trade. That is not a evil in my mind.
Agreed. But like they were talking about like how the Atlantic slave trade happened was because there was a system in place on how like debt worked in Africa and how like they called them slaves, but it wasn't really slaves. Like if you owed something, like I own you and I can kind of do what I want with you, but you weren't like you were kind of a slave, but you weren't. And it was just like a weird way that they worked their debt system.
Okay.
You know what I mean? A lot of it was like ceremonial and traditional. Like
Oh, all right.
and that's really what it was. And when the West came in and, weaponized their tradition against them,
God, that's a good way of putting it.
that's when like things like went really, really crazy. And if you think about now, like, and that made me like really pause, like what traditions do we have that could be weaponized against us?
Okay, that's a good topic because that's like fundamental for our well-being. Like, what traditions do we have that could be weaponized?
I mean, like sports. I feel like there's like, I don't know, like
Really?
the tribalism of sports, where like you feel like you have to pick a team.
But like, do you
Like,
think
when
that
there's
could be weaponized though?
I do, and I think like, when you have like only two political parties, like all you can really do is think of like it being your team.
That's a super good point.
So I think like in a way that's kind of being weaponized. Like,
Yeah,
I want
it
my guys to win,
definitely is,
and like
yeah.
it doesn't matter. Like you always notice, like the ref only has bad calls against my team, not your team, like
Trust
type of
me.
thing. You
Yeah.
know. So I see that being weaponized. I see, I don't know, like the tradition of wealth, like money at all costs.
Oh, of course.
To go back to like the OnlyFans, where like like you're like when you're doing OnlyFans, like that's gonna be around forever, and
Unless you're okay with it.
yeah, but I don't think a lot of people are. I mean, I think like when you look at people who are in the porn industry, there's not a lot of people that are like, sure, happy I did porn. Like there's a lot of regret.
I listened to an awesome fucking interview with Reed Riley. I don't know her name.
Okay.
I've seen her stuff. But she is really into the lifestyle. And she's into like the protection, she's into the health, she's into the education. I've never like given porn stars much validation, but I did read the Jenna Jameson book. Holy shit.
Yeah, I mean, but you're like,
shit.
you're naming off like,
I'm naming off super fucking stars.
yeah, superstars.
Yes.
There's like just a mountain of
I know.
miserable people
I totally
whose
agree.
lives are gone. Even like the people who are superstars, like, the amount of people who die from like drug overdoses or suicide,
Yeah.
like wrestlers and porn stars are just, offing themselves on a rate
Yeah.
that is comparable to veterans.
Oh, damn, dude.
Or maybe not as bad as veterans, but
Yeah.
22 a day.
But I get your point. I just like I've known so many people who have felt bad for liking sex and being able to like put themselves out there, right? And like they feel bad because they've been taught dude, I have like one eyebrow hanging down in front of my eye and it looks like I have like shaggy long hair. And it's just bothering the shit out of me because it's literally covering your face. Now it's gone. So I'm glad we took that little ad break there for hair trimming. I think in our society, especially fucking America, especially what we're about to go into, the human enjoyment, as long as you aren't fucking putting anyone else in a negative way, like you're not harming someone else's well-being, why do we demonize? Why do we make people feel less than they should be just because they're doing something they legitimately enjoy?
Well, I think back to the weaponization, I think it's the weaponization of family or like
The Christian values.
The Christian values. They're weaponizing Christian values.
Okay.
I could see that
I think
happening as well.
I mean, that I see beyond a doubt. It's already fucking happening. And
you're essentially you're taking advantage of the way that people use their traditions. Like if you're like, well, I love my mom and my dad and my brother and my sister, and I want that to be the norm. Well, then you just have a talking head on TV that tells you, well, you should make sure that never happens because they're trying to take that away from you. And how that works, I don't have no idea.
But it already is. I've seen videos like that nonstop.
No, I mean, I don't understand the mentality of like, my tradition is to take away others' traditions. Like, but nobody's taking away your tradition. Like, it's always so silly to hear like the war on Christmas. Like, there's no freaking war on Christmas.
My favorite part of that, dude, is like, bitch, you stole it from Saturnalia. You stole it from Mithras. You stole it from all this other shit. You don't get to say they're stealing it from you. You had it for a small amount of time from someone else.
Yeah, we stole it from Germany.
Well, I mean, it goes way back.
Yeah, it
further.
goes way back before.
Yeah,
but I mean, like, yeah, all of our traditions. America hasn't been around that long. Like, we don't really have any traditions yet.
The Christian church chose December 25th because it was Mithras. It was the hailing of the winter solstice, but also the god of like peace. Right?
It's when the 3 stars go down, the 3 wise men.
Well, right. So, but like, literally, they took that and said, well, you can still believe in your gods because our God is the same day. Who would have thought that?
It is Constantine. So Constantine supposedly was the first emperor that was a Christian emperor.
Yeah, okay.
And, he saw Jesus and decided he believed in him, and he rounded up all of his people and was able to
kill everyone else,
everybody else because Jesus. So a lot of his lieutenants were Christians, and it's highly likely he just said that because he wanted his lieutenants to like fight better.
Makes sense.
And the thing that's funny is like
which is what Trump's doing
when he was buried on his tomb. There's lots of things of Mithras, but there's none of Jesus.
Oh, no shit.
There's nothing of Jesus on there. But what is Mithras? Mithras was the man with the sun behind him with all the sun rays that all go through.
Which was fucking it's the same fucking thing retold over and over.
Yeah.
Saturnalia was the old fucking like rune level shit. That's like old pagan shit. I have a fucking list of this shit if you ever want to talk about it. I love this stuff.
What was that one documentary thing that came out a long time ago where they try to explain that?
I don't know.
It's like super old.
Oh.
I don't know. Like, it's good and they talk about that stuff and then it gets weird and I'm trying to remember what it was.
I have I screenshot so much that I have like a cool guides section in my screenshots. But did I save the Christmas one? John, of course I didn't. Why would I do that? Oh, good. My dog's barking. Yeah. So what are your plans for Christmas?
Going over to a friend's house.
Yeah.
Christmas Eve, I'm going to go to my mom's. And then Christmas Day, we're going over to a friend's house. And then we do our Santa run. Will be the Friday before.
Oh, God. Yeah, that's right.
So it'll be this Friday. We're gonna.
Do you enjoy doing that, or is that more of like it's a tradition I have to?
No, Heather and I started doing it during COVID.
Yeah,
like you couldn't go to anybody's house, but we had gifts that we wanted to get for them, and we knew like we couldn't talk to you. And like the original one was we just rung your doorbell and left it on the porch.
Yeah.
And it kind of just came from that. So
you realize you guys are becoming Santa.
Yeah, we have Santa hats and reindeer and elf hats, and we just drive out, drop off stuff, and go.
Oh, do you know the reindeer actually comes from Odin's deer? Because Odin was the one who like ran around giving gifts on Mithras.
Interesting.
And he had a reindeer with 8 legs.
It's almost like this sharing of ideas and everybody coming together makes cooler things, huh?
Yeah.
Maybe we should build a wall and stop it all.
This is war, no telling how the story ends. This is a fallout, everybody get down. Stay out of our way. This ain't a nice show, no telling where we might go. We've high in the stairs.
We wishing death upon us. Better get ready with a vest and invested enough protection to lessen nuclear fallout. Go cry for mama. You wanted war till you on the floor trying to hide from bombing. Kamikazes fly supersonic right through the Eiffel Tower. President Donnie killed Soleimani, so now Iran's a problem. Going Nagasaki, atomics dropping on Abu Dhabi. 20 million bodies and 5 tsunamis arrive in Holland. You survived alive, now the radiation is sure to follow. All the bombing is now underway. How you gonna save yourself? Y'all better pray. Y'all gotta stay down in the basement or hallway closet, otherwise die in the flames. Out of atomic waste concentrated in metropolis. Watch as the hospital rate skyrockets to thousands of patients. Nuke radiation becoming too dangerous. No, this ain't Tinder, but I swipe left at you with a knife in fact. Striking it back with a whole Viking next. Tell Tech that it's time for the fire. Let me get a funnel attachment, run up and siphon the gas. Now sit around, then we go light the match, igniting that like Iraq while ISIS was fighting that. Whole world about to end so soon. Kim Jong-un get a pissed at you, send a big fucking nuke to America to hit your roof in an instant. Blue like flipping a fuse, incinerating kids in school. Principal said it was miserable. Missiles dropping in Israel, Germany, London, and Istanbul. Now Godzilla, but an ominous monster still upon us. Leonard was hit with a common economy crashing, poverty wobbly, plate tectonic shifting a lot. How could it not be? The apocalypse probably gotta be causing a lot of the death that we see when we turn on our screens every night and we're watching the news up on our TV. Forcibly torture these enemies, given deformities. Waterboard them till they orally tell us the story. Sick and stick them up in quarantine. There's not a hint of remorse in me. Cold in my core feels like only in war do I ever find normalcy. Like on the beaches in Normandy. Live by the sword, I'ma die when I'm 43. Together with Tech and I, we met up at electrified. I reckon every time that we etch your rhyme, I reckon they recognize, never get aroused. I'm a level, I'm 5 times better with a bonus rim. And I'm at an end, I get them in the center of the scope. Let a round out broken through, open a wound. There ain't no hope for you.
This is war, pick your sides, know your stance. This is war, no telling how the story ends. This is a fallout, everybody get down. Stay out of our way. This ain't a nice show, no telling where we might go. We've high in the